So this is the story of Luna. She was my Monroe, Washington 2017 Makeover Mustang. And here she is. We picked her up in Oregon at the Burns Corrals. She was the most scared, terrified Mustang I have ever. She would just shake and tremble in fear and cower in the corner of her pen. And this is her getting her halter on, and you could see, I mean, she's just terrified. I felt so bad for her, and she's a little tiny little thing. I wouldn't say she's about maybe 13, 2 hands high. And she's from the Beatty's Butte HMA in Oregon. And poor guy, I think he got whacked in the face. So she's going to get loaded up in the trailer, and we're going to take her back down to Northern California. Here she is in the trailer. She was really underweight. That mane was something else. Those knots were just, they took me forever to get out. And as soon as we were able, we treated her for ulcers right away, as well as just giving her lots of good feed. This is my first touch with her. This probably took at least a week to get this, and she has kind of a weird energy where she was like timid, and then she'd be a little aggressive, and then a little timid. And you can kind of see that here, where she's kind of like wants to kind of come at me, and then she's like, wait, no, I don't want to do that. But same thing, she was fighting her own curiosity. So like she kind of was like, oh, she wasn't sure what she wanted to do. And I did have to use my flag a couple times, because she did kind of stomp her foot and come at me a little. So, but it was a nice moment when she finally decided to touch me, because she was super sensitive in her entire body, especially her muzzle. And as soon as I was able, I got her out of her pen and just started taking her everywhere, like just leading her over stuff, hanging out with her. I had to be a certain distance away. She had a pretty big bubble still, even though she was lovely. I mean, to halter break, really easy to halter break. But I couldn't really just walk up to her and touch her. So this eventually allowed me to do that. And she's just kind of showing her personality there. I did a lot of hand grazing with her. And we took her a lot of places. This was an obstacle clinic that Isidro was doing. And I took her along and just walked her over anything I could find. Took her anywhere I could go. Just kind of hung out with her. I was still not able to touch her hind end, but I could touch her neck and her shoulders at this point, and I would just kind of hang out with her and rub her and scratch her, and just spent hours and hours doing this. They had a covered arena. I took her in there so she could check that out. And here she is, just watching the clinic. She was fascinated. Here she is in another clinic that we did, and she's just hanging out all day. So this was, I thought she was ready for her first saddling, and she wasn't. She kind of surprised me. I didn't expect her to react like that. And yeah, so that surprised me. So we had to go back a few steps. She obviously was not ready for that. Poor thing. So here I just said, okay, we'll forget the saddle. We're going to do some more groundwork and desensitizing. So, and I found out with her that she kind of held a lot of stuff in if she had the halter on. So I just started doing it completely at liberty, like no halter, no nothing. She could leave when she wanted to leave, and she did quite often. If it was too much, she would just leave. So this is a point where I started incorporating positive reinforcement with treats. She really liked her grain that she ate, so I used that. I had to teach her to take treats because she didn't want me to touch her mouth. And then, like you could see her there, she's just even still so flinchy. I must have spent hours just jumping and touching and patting and going on both sides and being above her, and just hours and hours and hours doing this because she was super reactive. She would just stand there and tremble all over. felt so bad for her because she was just so scared. She's really starting to relax more here. This is much better than what she was before. I did so much of this liberty work with her that she ended up just following me everywhere. And it's funny because she would follow me, but she still was bracy when I would try and approach her and touch her. But she'd follow me anywhere. I could take her from her pen and take her to the round pen and work her, lead her everywhere, and she would just follow me. So, which was kind of cool, but it still was kind of on her terms. This is, I had just taken that saddle off of her, and then she decided she was scared of it. She hated the saddle, like with a passion. So I'm like, okay. So we worked on this a little bit, and she ended up being cool with sniffing it and standing next to it. And we probably did this like every time I took that saddle off. She acted like she'd never seen it before. I'm preparing her for her first ride here. We're doing some long lining. She's very sensitive in her face. She was really easy to teach to turn here. It was a little different under saddle, but on the ground, she listened really well, and she turned and she'd stop, and she got really used to those lines on her back legs. So I love using those types of lines to just get them used to things touching their butt. But she still hated the saddle. Here we are. We took another trip. I think we went to Nevada and took her with us. She got to meet some cows. I ponied her everywhere. She still hadn't had her first ride yet. And this is Isidro doing her first ride for me. I had him put her first 2 rides on, just because the way she had reacted with that first saddling, I really wasn't sure what she was going to do with her first ride. I didn't think at this point she would really do much. Isidro said here that she was just shaking all over, just trembling when he got on. She quieted pretty quickly when she realized it was okay, and she never bucked once. She would scoot. She had a couple tantrums where she'd trot in place and kind of rear up, but nothing big, just kind of more like a hop with her front end, which you'll kind of see later. And you could see her kind of grab her butt there, but she never bucked, and she never bolted, and she never took off. Which was wonderful. So that was really encouraging. This is like 2 weeks before competition. And you can see here, like, she really had a problem under saddle turning right, and I have no idea why. And it was mostly in the round pen, but she was just like, I don't want to turn right. So I'm just kind of trying to make her do a circle, and she's just not having any of it. So that was like the worst she'd ever did under saddle, that little like rear. This is the first time she was out in the big arena. I just kind of, you can see she has some gaited horse in her DNA, and you can see it there. She's so smooth, I could barely post. I mean, she's just super smooth. But she's just kind of like letting her go wherever she wants to go. I just wanted to see where did she want to go, and she could care less. She went all over that arena and was just fine with it. I mean, there was no way I'm going to get like a headset or anything like that before competition, so I didn't even try. We took her out to a friend's arena, and she acted exactly the same as she did at home, which was very encouraging. And here, this is her 13th ride. This is the last ride before we left for competition, so I'm taking a horse to a competition with 13 rides on her. But she did so good. You could see the groundwork translating into under saddle here. Like, she gets a little stuck and confused there, but I could pretty much side pass on her and move her front end and move her hind end the first ride. So I did a lot of that on the ground, and it translated really well for her under saddle. And she could care less about these poles. So I'm just trying to incorporate, I was mostly worried about the trail class, if any class, which ended up being her worst class, because there's just not enough time to go over that many obstacles under saddle and being able to direct her. I don't have a lot of influence over her. Like, I can ask, but she's just really not broke yet. I mean, she's had 13 rides, so I'm pretty impressed with how broke she was. With that many rides. She had a good stop. I think that's the only thing why I went ahead and went to the competition, because she had a fantastic stop. Like if you said whoa, she was more than happy to stop. As hot as she is, she was so more than happy to stop. That was her favorite word. And I mean, a lot of this stuff, like picking up the canter right away, I really made that solid on the ground first, and it translated wonderfully under saddle. So here's some before and after. She looked pretty raggedy before, really thin. And toward the end, I mean, she just blossomed. She looked really good by competition time. And here she's getting her bath. We're at the makeover. She's getting her bath, getting nice and white, and she looked really pretty. And you could see her tail there is kind of missing part of it. She rubbed part of it out in the trailer. And then here we're in the warm-up ring, getting some stuff done. This was the first class, and this is the class that kept me out of top 10. We ended up 11th. That move right there is what kept me out of top 10, I found out later. They wanted me to stop, pause, turn around, and back her that way. Instead, I just backed her moving off of my body, and they did not like that. So this was kind of fun because she was so sensitive that I ended up teaching her to pick up her front feet when I pointed. So you can kind of see that I just pointed and she picks it up. It's so cute. And she just offered to do that. So I just went with it and taught her if I point, she picks it up. And I think I got a 5 for picking up feet. She was awesome for that. And we don't have a step up. I had to use my friends and practice a few times, and she went right in. So I was really happy with that. So this makeover, I think every horse got in the trailer, which was pretty abnormal, but great to see. So yeah, that was it. A couple points right there. I think I got a 1 for that stop and back, and that's what kept us out of top 10, which kind of sucks, but it's something that simple. This is the start of the trail class. She looks so pretty there. I just wanted to put that picture in with her bosal. And this was the bridge. She went over that really good. Probably the only good thing about the trail class. This class is the maneuvers class, and I was so happy with this class. She ended up 7th place, so she got a ribbon. And for her, this is maybe her 16th ride ever. And she nailed all of it. I mean, she's a little unsteady with her head, a little quick, but everything I asked her to do, she did it. Even with, I mean, the photographer right there on the fence, there's a lot of stuff going on in that arena. She nails her leads right when I ask her. She does a pretty good stop for such a green horse. I was happy with that. Her turnaround, unfortunately, she swung her butt around, but she turned. And you could tell her here, she's really trying to hold it together, really trying not to rush. And I want to say this is about the time where I got contacted by a lady in Finland who was watching the competition and really liked her. And so I thought, okay, well, this has got to be like a hoax or something, right? Really, somebody in Finland wants her, because all these horses were sale authority, so they could be exported. And she showed me her website. She showed me all her stuff. I mean, she seemed pretty legit. She asked me kind of what we were wanting for her to go in the sale, and I told her, based off how green she was, and she agreed to it, and so she got paid for her at the sale. And this is her first day in Finland. I was saying goodbye to her. We dropped her off in Oregon, and then she made her way down to Houston, spent a month in quarantine, flew to Finland, and here she is. She is now in Finland, and that's her owner riding her bareback and bitless, which is fantastic since she hates saddles, and she loves it there. They send me regular updates. I'll put a link to their Instagram down below, and check it out, because she's literally living a fairy tale life in Finland now. So she's the first BLM Mustang imported into Finland, and since then they have imported quite a few. So check it out, and I hope you enjoyed Luna's story. This is why we do these makeovers, for fairy tales like this.